A virus has several characteristics of life, obviously, because we know if they exist, right? They're around us. They're constantly causing problems. What do they not have? Or why aren't they considered living? Because they don't have a cell. So they don't have at least one cell is the block at the bottom, and they're not considered living. Non-living, and they don't have at least one cell. So a virus is not living, yet it does a lot of things to living things. We're going to learn about the structure of a virus and how it affects living things, okay? So what does a virus have? Tell me if you recognize any of those parts on the slide. So I'm pointing, the first thing I'm pointing to is, good. It has, and how do you know that's RNA?
Because
Single-stranded, good. A virus is going to have nucleic acid. It's either going to be RNA or DNA. In this case, I'm showing you a virus with an RNA inside of its structure, but it could also have DNA. It also has a capsid coat, okay, which is made up of, remember a long time ago when we did parts of a cell and we saw these little things? Anybody remember what those things are?
The little dots.
That they're found in membranes. What's found in membranes? What makes up a membrane in a cell? Glucose can come in and out, but what makes up? Good. We've got lipids, right, which are made up of fatty acids. And then we had these little things in between the lipids that help molecules go in and out. Do you remember what those little things were? They had all different shapes. It's protein. So this is a flashback to what makes up a cell. This is not a cell, it's a virus. But this is where you get to see that viruses are like us in a sense, because they have, the first block is nucleic acid, and then you're going to write RNA or DNA. The second block is protein. Capsid protein coat. And the third block is lipid.
So
A virus reproduces. So slide 3 is talking about the 2 types of reproduction a virus can do. So label it 2 types of reproduction. What are they?
lysogenic and lytic.
Lysogenic and lytic. Okay, we're going to talk about lytic today, and then when your projects are done, I'll talk to you about lysogenic, okay? Lytic is the description of how a virus really does major damage. Lysogenic definitely does damage. When a virus goes through the lysogenic state, it actually will cause damage to your cells, and it'll lead to possible cancer. So that's one. Remember when we talked about cancer and what causes it, and virus can cause cancer? That's how. But when it's a lytic cycle, it does this, what's in the next slide, that picture of the full lytic cycle. A virus has to, keep this in mind, the first block is a virus always has to find a host cell. A host cell is a cell that the virus says, you're the one I need in order to be able to reproduce. You're what I've been looking for. A virus can spend days in your body looking for that one cell that it can attach to. Look at that picture. And then what does it do in the end?
Multiplies.
It replicates and does what? Look at the last picture. Releases. It's actually going to reproduce and multiply, like you said. So the next thing is reproduce. And then it's going to kill the host cell.
So it says virus finds the host cell.
So virus finds the host cell, reproduces, and kills the host cell.
Kills.
Details of the lytic cycle. The first thing, again, the virus has to find the host cell. And then it literally like absorbs itself into the host cell. So it attaches. You could say absorption, attachment. All those words mean the same thing. And basically what the virus does is attaches. So the first word is attaches to the host cell. The second word is host cell.
That's so bad.
Then comes insertion. What do you think happens during insertion?
Inserts its it's like
Yes.
Nucleic acid.
Inserts its nucleic acid. That's the next word. So it inserts its nucleic acid. What does nucleic acid have in it? Or DNA or RNA? Codes. So it's a code to say, hey, make more virus. use the parts of the cell and let me reproduce. So what it does is it literally takes parts of the cell, protein, carbs, everything, and it starts replicating. What is it replicating? Look at the picture.
It's
copying itself.
What's replicating? Look at the picture. Is a virus replicating? Look at the picture in your notes. What's it replicating? Yes, virus parts are replicating, not virus. It literally will make the DNA or the RNA. It'll make proteins or capsids, and it'll make lipids. It makes the parts to then later assemble. What is assembly?
To come together.
Put them together. So virus parts are put together to form an actual new virus. So the first block says virus parts replicating. The second block says virus parts are put together to form a new virus. During release, what do you see happening to the cell?
It kills the immune system.
It literally breaks it. It's actually going to emit a chemical. So the first block is a chemical that causes the cell to burst. The second block is burst. And the virus is now free to do what?
Find another host cell.
Awesome. Find another host cell. I'll repeat. The virus emits a chemical, causes cell to burst, and now the virus is free to find a new host cell. And how many viruses are out?
A lot.
A lot.
Noise.
Question.
What would happen if
Projects. Bacteria. We know this, right? Because bacteria is what? Living. What do we know about bacteria? Its characteristics. Prokaryotic.
it can move?
It can move. Unicellular.
auto and hetero.
Auto and hetero. Good job.
Everything from
And
the
it
lab.
doesn't need a partner to reproduce.
Good. It does not. Sometimes it does. Okay? So prokaryotic, unicellular, auto, hetero, and motile are the first four blocks to the left under characteristics. What are the two kingdoms? Archaea and eubacteria. Good job. So to the right, you see a picture of the virus, and there's a lot of parts there, okay? Bacteria. A lot of parts to bacteria that are unique to specific bacteria. But the ones that I've covered are ones that all bacteria have. What are they? Look at those parts because you know this. But yeah, not the ones that are covered. Good job. All bacteria has cytoplasm. That's the one farthest to the right, which is the jelly-like structure of the cell, right? What else?
Cell membrane.
Cell membrane. Good job. Border patrol lets things in and out, right? What else?
I'm gonna see.
You know this. What's in the middle?
Did you sneeze?
No nucleus.
Where is
Ribosome, top little dot.
Bless you.
And what's that middle wiggly stuff? DNA, guys. So a virus, I'm sorry, I keep saying virus. A bacteria doesn't have a nucleus because it's prokaryotic, but it has DNA. Because in order to replicate, or in order to make proteins, or in order to say, hey, do this, the code is always in the nucleic acid. Bacteria reproduce. Bacteria is single-celled. What do we learn about cell reproduction? What happens when cells reproduce? They split and they make what? They make daughter cells that are what? Identical. Now, bacteria is a living thing. So it's doing the same thing, except it's going through a reproduction where you have one cell going to two. What's that called? Good job. Asexual reproduction, as it's not covered. Asexual reproduction, which makes identical clones of the original parent. Okay? So you don't want to say identical daughter cells because it's literally making a new organism that's identical to the parent. Now, some bacteria reproduce sexually, and that's our next slide. Hold on. As you mentioned, bacteria don't replicate sexually. They do some kind of exchange. So exchange of genetic materials, the bottom line. Exchange of DNA. It's like mating, okay? The difference is you don't mix DNA and form a new organism. You kind of like take over. So if you look at the bacteria on the left and you look at the bacteria on the right. The bacteria on the left has this blue ring that they give a piece of that blue ring to the other bacteria and they end up with it. So it's not like two bacteria made one new one. It's two bacteria merge and evolve. This is how you have mutations or evolution or a change in bacteria to be stronger and harder to fight. This type of mating makes that happen. Okay?
Sweet.